Am I the a-hole for not splitting my inheritance with my estranged sister? I, now 28, grew up in a heavily conservative family with one sister. When I was 10 and my older sister was 18, my parents disowned her after catching her with another girl. I did not attempt to contact my sister until I was 21 and in college. My parents had convinced me that she was wrong, and it took a while for me to unwind their beliefs and realize that the world isn't like that anymore, and my sister was simply different. I found her on Facebook and messaged her saying I didn't agree with how my parents treated her and I wanted to meet up and keep in touch. She replied the next day saying she had moved on from her family and that she wished me the best, but did not want any ties to her childhood, including me. I left it at that. 4 years ago, my mom died. I let my sister know on Facebook and she didn't reply. Early this year, my dad died. I again sent my sister a message, just so she would be aware. She did not reply. When my mother died, she left everything to my father, and when he died, he left everything to me. The amount is substantial. Then 3 days ago, my sister sent me a message asking if the will had been executed. I replied simply stating yes. Then she sent me a message saying that I should split my inheritance with her, because it's not her fault that my parents disowned her and removed her from the will. I have not replied to her yet. I can see her point, but I feel like she's a stranger to me. If she had been open to me once I reached out to her, I think I would do it. But I have no relationship with her outside of some early childhood memories and a handful of Facebook messages, the most meaningful of which is her rejecting being my sister. Am I the a-hole if I say no? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You reached out to her earlier and she refused to meet with you, telling you she wanted no contact with the family, including you. Now she wants money? It's yours. You do not have to share with her. In fact, she wouldn't want it as it's a tie to the family. This 100%. I'm sorry, sister, but I feel like the money would be a tie back to your childhood and I don't want you to suffer with that. This. Not the a-hole. She made her bed with you and she chose to ignore you. Unfortunately, now she has to lie in it with substantially less money. Not the a-hole. Don't give her anything. She said she doesn't want any ties to her childhood. Giving her the half of the inheritance would disrespect that. Agreed. Not the a-hole. Your sister told you via Facebook that she moved on from her family, including you. So you can let her know since she moved on from her family, she also moved on from their money. Period. My condolences to you. The fact that she only cares about the inheritance and not that their mom and dad died says a lot about her too. It's not her fault that my parents disowned her and removed her from the will. No, but it was her choice to reject you and not want any ties with her family. She didn't even send you a "sorry for your loss" message when your parents died. You wouldn't be hearing from her now if there wasn't significant money involved. Since she didn't want a relationship with you, the last member of her bio family, she's not entitled to a dime of family money. Not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for spending my dad's estranged father's money? My dad and I had a very bad, toxic relationship. When I, 31, female, was 20, I told him that I never wanted to have a contact with him again. I haven't spoken to him since. He died unexpectedly a few months ago at age 56. My dad was always a bit of a slacker, and it turns out he slacked off in writing his will / managing his post-mortem finance plans. Basically, I was listed as the only inheritor of almost all of his stuff. I had no idea about this until he died. But I probably wasn't supposed to get all his money because he made it clear that he despised me. My dad has a very close relationship with his brother, my uncle, and his niece, my cousin, 24, female. Apparently, he had made comments to them about how they were his only family. Some days nice house would be theirs, and so on. When my dad died, my cousin reached out to me and explained that there had been a mistake in his legal situation, and his money was supposed to go to them. She showed me tons of pictures on her phone of her family spending time with him as proof that they had a closer relationship. Admittedly, the money should have gone to them, but it didn't. It went to me. So I told my cousin that it wasn't my fault the money had come to me, and I wasn't about to give her any of it just because she was buddies with my cruel dad. I have already made plans for how I want to spend a significant portion of the money. I've paid off my student loans, I'm going to buy a house, and I bought a new car. Nothing too fancy, just something nice. My cousin texted me recently telling me that I was vile for spending the money of a man I hated, a man she loved. I told her that I was sorry for her loss, but it was rightfully my money. I don't feel bad for spending a cent of it. I've talked to plenty of lawyers and the money is legally mine. But morally, I do think I might be an a-hole for spending money that belonged to someone I was estranged from. So, I wanted to ask here, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. It's your money. Ignore your cousins. They turned nasty as soon as they were told no. If the money was supposed to go to them, it would have gone to them. Not the a-hole. Your father is to blame for not organizing his affairs at any time. If it were me, I'd probably give his brother some of the money but not all of it. Your father put you through a lot of grief. You should be compensated. How does Opie even know her father wanted them to have any money? Because Uncle and niece said he did? That's not exactly the most reliable testimony. I wish I could upvote this 100 times. I was the inheritor of an estate. He would bring up concerns about me getting by after his death and gave me his will. Still, when he died, the spouse of another family member told me he said he was leaving them money. I knew it wasn't true, but this lie has affected the way I see this branch of the family. Some people will say / claim anything for. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. This was on your father. You could make an argument that you're his actual daughter and it's right for you to inherit based on that. And your cousin could make an argument saying that she was closer to him. However, the argument is moot because the one listed to inherit was you. That's what counts. She has no way of knowing whether despite everything that was his intention anyway. And the reason she, and you, don't know that is because he didn't take the time to make his intentions clear, if in fact he did want anything to be done in a non-standard way. If Opie's dad was really that toxic, it also wouldn't shock me if this was his intention, specifically because he knew it would cause strife for Opie after his death too. You might be overthinking this. Certainly he probably didn't expect to die at 56. But he had enough foresight to write a will in the first place, so he could have made the effort to keep it up to date if that was what he desired. But sometimes reality isn't what we expect. He might have regretted his relationship with you. He might have hoped to eventually resolve things. And yes, he might have found some degree of solace with other members of his family but was still keeping the door open for you to return and to mend things up. That wouldn't be an uncommon story. So he never changed the will because he hadn't yet given up on you. So don't consider it an oversight. If not at his death, at one point in his life he wanted you to have everything and put that in writing. You were estranged and your relationship was toxic, but perhaps he didn't despise you as much as you thought. It's your money now, not the a-hole. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for picking my daughter's career for her? My daughter, 17 female, has always been a smart girl. She has a huge potential future available for her. She has the ability to become one of the greatest data scientists ever. It's an incredibly rewarding job for her, especially since technology is the way to go for the future and the country we live in is expensive. As a computer scientist myself, I've always loved my job. However, she does not want to be one. I've been influencing her since she was 10. She was initially excited but doesn't want to anymore. She took 2 tech classes in grades 9 and 10 and she isn't taking one in 11th or 12th grade. She says that she wants to be a psychologist and now wants to have a business major. I don't think it's right fit for her, the former, because she doesn't have the social skills needed to become a psychologist. She's autistic. Heck, she couldn't even handle her brothers well. How is she supposed to deal with adults with psychological issues? The latter as well, because it involves dealing with people that can be very immature. Also, she took a business course in grade 10 and she ended up not liking it. So why would you take an entire university program? Yesterday, we sat down and we were looking at potential programs. She picked a few from Bachelor of Commerce programs. I tried pushing her to pick the Bachelor of Computer Science programs. At the end, she asked if I would support her no matter what she picks. I laughed and told her not to give me a scare. So it's a no then? She asked. I told her that she can take her highlighter, highlight a program she's interested in, and we can discuss. She said that I criticize every program that isn't tech-related. I tried convincing her that the tech field is a very rewarding field, and she is smart and capable. And then she snapped. She said that she doesn't care if it's a gold mine and she's capable enough to handle it. She hates the computer tech field, and I've been forcing her to do it for a long time. She says it's her future, not mine, and not everyone wants to be a tech scientist. She asked how I feel if my father tried to push me to the law field since it's a rewarding job despite me having no interest in social sciences. Then she stormed out. At that point, I realized that I may have pushed her too hard. I just want her to have a bright future and no struggles. But I guess went about it the wrong way. Now for the top comments. You're the a-hole. Also, autistic people make great psychologists for other autistic people. I wish that I could find one. Neurotypical psychologists keep trying to cure my autism, and it makes me not want to seek help for my problems. Agreed. We urgently need more neurodivergent psychologists. I have one, and she's a godsend. She's the first person in the field I've felt has understood me. You're the a-hole. Aw, sorry your kid doesn't want to be exactly like you. She's her own person, so let her be. How do you know she has what it takes to be one of the greatest data scientists? By the way, we embedded developers look down on data scientists and all other programmers. Why aren't you pushing her into embedded science? They are the greatest. How do I know? Well, I am one, so obviously. Now, do I sound ludicrous? You're the a-hole. Let your daughter be who she wants to be, not what you want her to be. That just sets her up for failure and unhappiness. The worst part is that Opie may well be right, but Opie's daughter will resent her being forced and is likely to rebel against it. If left to her own decisions, with gentle advice that doesn't have a particular agenda, daughter may well have come to the conclusion that a career in tech is for her, but forcing the issue will just make her cross that off the list. The way it reads to me is that exactly has already happened. Opie has pushed their daughter every year since they were 10 to do tech-related things. She may come back to tech eventually and finds that she loves it, but honestly, Opie, every time you condescend other professions or mention tech, it's going to be longer and longer before she even attempts it. Or she's going to stick to her guns in whatever profession she does choose, even if she turns out to hate it, because she wants to show you that it was truly what she was meant to do. Now, for the last story. Am I the a-hole for leaving a family dinner at a restaurant after they put me on the kids' table? I'm 18 male, I'm the youngest of 3 brothers. My older brother, let's call him Leo, has 2 kids, and my middle brother, let's call him Kenny, has twins. I don't have any kids and live by myself, whereas they both have partners. We went to a restaurant today for dinner and they put the kids on one table and the adults on the other. However, there was only space on the adult table for 6 people, meaning one of us had to sit at the kids' table. Me, being the only one without a partner and also being the youngest, was put on the kids' table. I asked why one of my brothers couldn't sit at the kids' table as they actually have kids on the table. My parents said that there was only one space on the kiddie table, so as I'm a loner, I should be on it. They said that they also wanted to get to know the partners a bit more and I could bond with the kids as I don't see them as often as I would like. This all happened whilst we were at a restaurant, so I didn't want to cause a huge scene with shouting and fighting. I politely said that as I have come here to spend time with my parents and brothers, not their kids, and I will be leaving unless I have a spot at the adults' table. They said that they were sorry, but there is no room for me. I then said that I was sorry too, and I left. My brother chased after me saying that he really wanted to see me and spend time with me. And I said that if you wanted to see me that much, you would find room at a table with you. He said that I could still speak with them at the kids' table as they are next to each other. I said I'm sorry, but I don't feel comfortable sitting with a bunch of 5 to 7-year-olds. I told him that you would completely ignore me like you have done before, and the restaurant is loud, so you wouldn't even be able to hear me. I politely thanked him for the invite and said it was nice to see you and enjoy your meal. Then I left. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. I want to see you. Don't sit with us is a weird way to show he wanted to see you. It sounds like they invited you to babysit for them. I was thinking this. Definitely this. It wasn't that there was no room at the adult table, but that no restaurant would let 4 young children sit at a table without supervision. One of the adults had to sit with the kids, and it's so entirely baffling that none of the kids' parents thought they should be the one to do so. Exactly. They wanted him to babysit because he was younger. They thought, oh, he'd relate to them. I worked at a restaurant called Waffle House. I remembered sitting 3 tables, 2 for adults and 1 for kids. Big party, but no adults sat with kids. So to me, it seemed like they wanted a babysitter. Kids are messy and spilt syrup or ketchup, food and drinks. Not the a-hole. Have you ever noticed that the people who demand you endure a discomfort for the sake of etiquette never stand the slightest discomfort to themselves? You can literally use this rhetorically to anyone who tries to give you grief about this. This. Not today, Holo P, but let's call a thing a thing. They wanted to enjoy an evening out at a restaurant without kids. You were not a guest at their dinner. You were their unpaid babysitter for the evening. Parents should not expect other people to take care of their kids for free. They could easily have hired a babysitter for the night, but it was someone's bright idea to not spend money and have you do it for free. Not today, Ho. It's not that difficult to make a reservation for odd numbers. Seems like this was a predetermined plan that you got surprised with last minute. That always seems to be the case